A train wreck, a disaster, a nightmare, horrific, painful. We have a problem. These are just some of the terms used by scores of Democrats to describe US President Joe Biden's performance in his first debate with his Republican opponent, Donald Trump, ahead of the November election. Just minutes into the 90-minute televised debate, panic set in within the Democratic ranks. Biden's party and its supporters were essentially hoping for just one thing at the start of the debate: that the 81-year-old president would be able to put to rest the American public's concerns over his old age and cognitive abilities and prove to them that he was still up to the job and had the energy, the stamina and the vigor to continue in the White House for another 4 years. Tragically for the Democrats, what happened during the debate was just the opposite. Not only did Biden fail miserably to achieve that one goal, the president stumbled, stuttered, rambled, spoke in a raspy voice, took uncomfortably long pauses, looked confused and disoriented, lost his train of thought, often gaped at Trump, and at several points sounded downright incoherent and unintelligible, his sentences degenerating into absolute gibberish. At one point, after Biden had trailed off while defending his record on border security, Trump said, "I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either." And that has emerged as one of the most quotable quotes of this debate. At another point, after losing his train of thought, Biden ended one answer by saying, "We finally beat Medicare," a bizarre reference to the government-run healthcare program for the elderly, a reference that made absolutely no sense. Biden ended up validating all the fears about his advancing age and potentially convincing many more voters that his faculties have in fact decayed. While most of Biden's party colleagues and supporters cringed and winced at his abysmal performance, others descended into utter panic. He may only be 3 years and 7 months older than former President Donald Trump, but Biden came off looking much older and quite unfit for the world's most powerful office, a label the Democrats had thus far used for Trump. Analysts say if Joe Biden loses the November election, history will record that it took just 10 minutes to destroy a presidency. Many have described it as potentially the most fateful presidential debate in American history, the weakest performance by a candidate since John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon started the tradition of televised debates in 1960. The network that hosted the debate, CNN, later announced that Trump had decisively won the debate. Things have become so insufferably painful for the Democrats that some newspaper headlines screamed, "It's time for Biden to go." Behind closed doors, many Democrats have reportedly raised the question, can we still go ahead with Biden as our presidential nominee? Or do we in fact need to replace him with another candidate if we are to have any realistic chance to avoid a crushing and humiliating defeat at the hands of Donald Trump, the man who they describe as deranged, but who may have made rapid strides towards winning back the White House? Of course, Trump didn't surprise anyone as he continued to spout outright lies and falsehoods about his own legacy as president and multiple other issues. But fact is, Biden was simply not able to corner Trump, instead sounding defensive throughout while failing to clearly articulate his own vision for the country or his achievements of the last 3.5 years. Trump blatantly lied about his role in the mob attack by his supporters on the US Capitol on 6 January 2021. He repeated his frequent election denialism. He said he would accept the results of the 2024 election if it's fair and legal, but then repeated his lies about the fraud in the 2020 election. Biden said, "You're a whiner and you lost the first time." He also said, "You're a sucker, you're a loser." The two candidates clashed over abortion, immigration, foreign policy, inflation, and other issues. Their showdown took a rather bitter and personal turn. Biden highlighted Trump's criminal convictions. Trump responded by invoking Biden's son Hunter, who was also recently convicted. Then Biden accused Trump of having sex with porn star porn star Stormy Daniels while Trump's wife was pregnant. He said, "You have the morals of an alley cat." Trump retorted, saying, "I did not have sex with a porn star." But at no point was Biden able to put Trump on the mat. He struggled to fact-check him even on false claims that the latter has repeated for years. Even on the biggest issue and strongest topic for Democrats, abortion, Biden flailed. He struggled to explain his party's stance on abortion, appeared confused at times, and unprompted gave Trump an opening to talk about immigration, his own biggest political liability. By the time the two rivals slipped into a bitter debate about who was the better golfer, many Americans felt vindicated in their belief that neither of the two candidates is fit to be the US president for a second term. The question we're asking on Global Lens tonight is this: is it the end of the road for Joe Biden? Should the Democrats replace Biden with another nominee and salvage their chances in a contest that increasingly looks difficult for them to win? However unprecedented it may be, could we see another Democratic candidate like Vice President Kamala Harris or California Governor Gavin Newsom or Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer step up to the plate and replace Biden at the Democratic National Convention that's still 2 months away? Should Biden himself step aside after his disastrous performance in the debate and the PR nightmare his party is faced with and make way for a better candidate who may still be able to give Trump a run for his money? Or, either way, does Trump look set to become only the second American president in history to win a non-consecutive second term in office?